Welcome back.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us again here today. Weird games, doing weird things, getting cables caught up. No, we're free. We're free. We are free. Just like that whale movie. You remember the whale movie?
The one about the
whale
Free Willy.
getting free. There you go, Free Willy. You do remember the whale movie.
I forgot its name for a sec.
I put you on the spot. Were you expecting a question about movie lore from the late 90s? I think it was 90s, 2000s.
I mean, I can somewhat recite the whole plot of The Labyrinth.
Yeah, sure. That's only because I've made you watch it X amount of times, and I'm pretty sure that's an 80s movie. Back when they used to scar children. All right, so, this is where we're at. Change logs. Straight away, we're back into it. All right. So what we have is each of these rooms, right, that we did, they're 30 feet around at the base, and they got a little 20-foot room inside, right? That's 20-foot square. At the top, though, what you had in a lot of the old towers is that at the top, they were actually bigger. Not necessarily much bigger, but there are some examples over there. If we have a look on the computer later, when we bring up the video screens, that we can have a look at, where you see that they sort of come out at the, let me see, on an angle at the base, right?
Like it's like
and
this,
then you
and
have
then it go like this.
that, and then it's bigger and wider. Which is, and those rooms, you could say that at the top of the library they had a reading room up there, and at the top of the reliquary they had a sitting room where Gus and Frodo would sit and talk about religious stuff a lot, and yeah, be very that sounds like a great night. Great night in. Just gonna go sit around the the globe, talk about gods and things. Anyway, so in this one, what was that? That was like the study. No, sorry, that was a parlor. So maybe they had an extra nice place upstairs. Maybe they had some flowers up there out of their gardens. I'm not sure what you'd take from up there.
It's the sin confessory room.
The sin confessory room, the confessionary. You reckon they got a whole room up there for that? All right. And the other one was on top of their what was I gonna call that one? There was like the study, right, where they do their official business and stuff. So on top of there probably has like actual files and things that they might want to keep locked down, right? That aren't necessarily religious doctrines and scrolls, but are still quite important, right? So now they got, like, what do we put in there? Drow Inquisitor and a cadaver collector, a retriever. That thing was pretty scary looking, I'll agree. And
Mr. Big Robo Spider.
Sure, yeah. He's your friend, and a fire giant dreadnought. He wants to be a friend. He's got 2 shields. All right.
Yeah, he just charges downwards.
Okay. Oh, these guys are having a tumble. All right. Let's move on. Let's do this. So we're gonna add a lock door and trap on this one. So this is at the end of here. This is a corridor, right? So we've got our big open area where the pool is, right? The elliptic pool. There's a corridor connecting these 2 areas, and then there's the secret relic room at the back, which is another big long rectangle. Hold that for me, thank you very much. So door and long corridor, and it would have had some nice artwork on the wall once upon a time, maybe
in the upon a time
like
area.
Churches back in the day, the ones, one of the problems that they got called out on was that they actually had really nice stuff, and they were taking all the money from these people, tithing to them and spending it on elaborate and ornate stuff, right? And the problem was that they wouldn't put it out in the main altar, or out for people to see where it could get stolen. They'd have it hidden away, and right, so they'd have like a special altar where they'd put the nice display of the crucifix on there, right? Or they'd have chalices, ornate chalices and stuff like this, or relics that are important to that area, right? So anyway,
that religion.
Sure. But underneath that now, they have sliding. They've made the altar. They have desecrated the altar.
Oh no.
Right? They've done a lot of desecration around here, and they have also underneath. All right. A second. We don't need that yet. All right.
It's just
Okay. Yeah. Hold back. We're going to put some traps in a second. They have desecrated the altar. They've made a sliding access panel, right? So after they made that, do we want to put the trap then on the actual sliding mechanism that they're going to have to find, which should be like a DC 20 to observe it, right? To find it, perception, yeah. Do we want to trap the altar or just trap the doors? The door's going to be locked. What do you reckon?
So let's make it so like you go down a bit, and then if you don't see like a DC 30 tripwire, you got
You want to do one of those like stair traps where you're walking down the stairs and then all of a sudden, because no one said they're watching the stairs, like the stairs like open up underneath them or turn into a sliding sort of affair. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, make it DC 20 perception to find the altar to be able to move it, right? Probably what you could probably do is have like scuff marks on one side, right? If you wanted to actually make it a little bit observable and lower that down. It depends on whether you have a party that are all you know, they might all have expertise and stuff and perception. Some of these people might be up to 30, be able to roll, you know, plus 30 plus on a perception roll, right? Maybe at this level, 14, maybe, depends on their mods and how they built. Anyway, moving on quickly. So yeah, they got a desecrated altar. They can push it across. All of the tapestries and artwork have all been like torn down from the walls and stuff like that. They got a sliding access under there.
They were like glass.
And you want to like a stairway that turns into like a ramp, all right?
Or something, or like turns into quicksand or something.
Well, traditionally you can do stuff like it drops out from underneath them entirely, like it just falls away and then they fall into a nice big deep pit. Or well, I don't know of lava. We haven't done any lava here at all yet. You'd probably just do it like into a nice big pit where they all fall unconscious or get trapped, and then the Lvl7 sends lithids down to collect you, right? You don't want to necessarily just outright X them, you know?
No, like a pit, and then the stairs close back up, and then it does like noxious gas on you.
Okay.
And then it's like as if you died.
Okay. So you want a stair ramp trap, right? That at the bottom is a pit. Okay. So you can get into a pit, right? And then the this pit here is you want a gas, like a knockout gas,
knockout gas.
A deadly poison them to dead gas.
On knockout gas, and then when they wake up, it's like one of them is being fed to the cranium rats. Oh,
this is one of those situations where, okay, sure. So, okay, so you have a pit, and then in that pit you have like a natural, like a fissure. Like what they've done is they've built it over here and contained the natural gas release, and they've put the thing over the top anyway. And so it's just sort of worked out that, you know, they can make the stair sort of trap work for them, and they don't, so it's not something they've necessarily manufactured, it's more of a natural barrier that they've incorporated, right? Pit, and they have a natural gas outlet that will put them to sleep. The thing is then eventually they're going to succumb, but you have to give it like a DC, right? So and it's probably going to be a constitution save because it's a natural. No, I don't know. It's a bit high. You want to give them a chance at least, right? It's quite hard to find your way down, and depending on like the mages, you know, if they don't have good dexterity, like the barbarians and monks or fighters, then they're probably going to fall down here, right? So you have to consider that they're not instantly knocked out, because this is another constitution save, right? Which they're probably not going to have good saves in.
Maybe like.
So I'm thinking it's more like a 16 or 17, maybe a 17, right? Okay, and it will just, so it induces slumber, right? So you put them to sleep like a knockout, okay? And that's just so that they can get picked up later on. Maybe they send the retriever down. Maybe the Lvl7 like takes the retriever spider creature and is like, stop guarding that thing for a second. I have a job for you. Go down the deep hole and collect up
Go
the...
down the deep hole,
yeah.
or I will burn you with
Sure.
acid.
At that point, no. At that point, they just punish him, right? I'm not sure what punishment for this contraption is. Well, they're programmed, so it wouldn't be psionically controlled. It'd just be programmed somehow. Anyway, so how deep do you want the hole to be? Because you can have it for like, if it's just a 10 to 20 foot drop, that's not too fatal, really. But if you're starting to put anything
What's
over
like
50,
the
60, 70 foot,
average thing that
because it's like
a level 14
D6 for every
could
10
fly?
foot. Oh, I don't know. You want it maybe 6 D6. So you could probably have a 60 foot drop, I
70
reckon.
foot drop.
No, that's what I mean. Like some of those things, especially if they're low life and they're coming down here, or you know, say they get in one way and this is how they're escaping. Say they come in through the well and they're trying to escape on the other side. They're not infiltrating their way in now. They're trying to get out from this thing, and they go up the stairs and they fall for the trap and they fall in, right? Then they might be at like low hit points. They're all insta dead. Too punishing.
Oh yeah.
All right. I think 66 is reasonable. I think just adding.
That's like
So that's like a 60 foot, 50 to 60 foot fall, all right? Okay, let me have a look. Hit 50, 60 foot. All right.
That's
It's already
like-
bad enough. They already got an Lvl7 here to deal with in a second, right? Let alone what actual trap's going to do to them. That's going to, like, kill them. And if they don't fall to their death, they're going to, you know, get knocked out by gas anyway, right?
True.
Sort of, you know, because at that point they need to have some form of climbing or climbing speed. They need to make their save and then on their turn have an action to cast climb and or whatever.
I mean, they still might have those potions of fly.
Sure, like there is ways to do it, but it is just quite punishing in that sense. All right. Anyway, so we've got a stair with a ramp trap, falls down a 56-foot fall into a pit. Assuming they survive, there's a natural gas outlet down there that so the gas will emanate, right? It doesn't go all the way up to the top, okay, but it might be like say 20 foot up. So they got to at least get over the 20 foot mist, right? Once they're onto the walls and they're getting up or they're flying and out of it, it's not so bad. All right, that way I think that's a bit more reasonable. Okay, and they have DC 17 con save. All right, very good. Now this is what we're going to do. Okay, that's where we're at. Okay, so I was looking through on the book Bolos, right, or also in Monsters and Multiverse, just looking at the stuff about layers and having a look at what the BBEBrain can do. So this is BBEBrain, James the Brain. He's a funny guy. These are all the notes I've got so far. Now they get lair actions, right? Okay, so then it's lair. Essentially, like a 5-mile radius of these things is its telekinetic connection range, right, where it can make links and
Sense where you are.
sense where you are and can get into your thoughts and stuff like that. And here's any speech that's done telekinetically, so if you're messaging each other or whatever, right, can overhear that sort of stuff. And then if you're within 120 feet of it, so
Didn't you say 150?
no, it's 120 feet
Okay.
of it. So what we're doing is putting 60 feet down. This thing's going to be about 60 feet down already. So assuming you can get down the lair and get past this trap, the actual stairs are 60 feet deep. Okay, they'll take you down. All right.
That's gonna be really fun for you to design and.
Oh, I mean, like, it's not that hard, and it's just lots of layers. And then once you put your layers in, you mean Tailspire?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just layers after that. The problem is finding where your bottom is. You work from the bottom up is actually the easiest way, believe it or not. Okay. So the layer actions, it gets at initiative 20, right? Can have a wall of force. Okay, so that's where it can like lock one person off or lock you all off from your escape or something. So it can do that at initiative 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it can target one of its own allies and give it advantage on its next like attack or saving throw or something, right? So if it's got a little...
Can it be the BBEBrain, or does it have to be someone else?
It's an ally of it. So that's why we're going to give it an BBEBrain. So that's what we're talking about. 1 times BBEBrain. With 4 of the intellect devourers, right? We don't want to have too many, right? And they're only small. Okay. Sorry?
On phase 2 of the boss.
No, now,
Oh.
straight away. First, they have to have something, right? Otherwise, it's just sitting there and it's just going to get chomped in one go. You need to put some other action economy out there and things like to annoy somebody or be like, hey, fighter, quick, go clean those things up before they get onto the mage, right? You need to have them thinking about other things to do, all right? Otherwise, they just eat the elder brain. And I don't know if that's going to be tasty. Not for everyone, anyway.
I mean, if somebody was bitten by the vampire, that might find that nice.
Maybe. So, all right. Anyway, Elder Brain, 4 intellect devourers. Okay. So well, that's where he can do this. He can give one of those advantage on something, one of their attacks. So the one he wants to go eat the wizard, right? Because we're punishing the wizards. Send the intellect devourer off him so we can bring him down a couple of notches. And now he has advantage on doing that thing, whatever that thing is he wants to do to the wizard. All right. Now, on the other thing he can do, so he has 3, but he only chooses 1 at initiative 20. The other thing is he can lock an enemy in spot. So they have to make a charisma saving throw, or they just stand there stunned on their spot, right? I think they have actions. Maybe go and have a look at the other screen and pull up the... have a look first. Pull up the other screen first. How you going? Got it? Got it?
Yeah.
Right one. There we are. There's that. Oh, you see? There we go. That's that castle. You can see the side of it as you go up has some windows for looking out of, and then right at the top it's built out a little bit and supported, and they have a larger section on top. Wait, and you can also see, is this the one with the, yeah, that has round towers on the other part of the section?
Oh, this one.
Further back? Yeah, because the older part of the older part of these structures would have been the square parts. And it wasn't until the later periods, I think in the 12th, 13th centuries, that they were started to branch out and use funky shapes. Maybe they got new brick building techniques, or maybe they stopped working with rectangles. Rectangular prisms, right? It's just too boring building squares after that. But yeah, so this is where we've got an older place that has squares still. Okay, all right. Now, next one. What was that next page? The Elder Brain page.
This one.
So this, I was just talking about the lair actions, right? Doesn't it say there?
Yeah.
So it can lock them in spot when they make a failed save, and they get to at the end of each of their turns later on, they can re-roll that save. But it didn't say this has a duration. So essentially, if it can lock an enemy in spot, then you are just locked there. It also doesn't say that it needs to be just one enemy at a time. So in that sense...
No. One creature.
Oh, yeah, at a time, right? What about its next turn at initiative 20? What about locking the next person? And then the next one, and then the next one. It doesn't say it has any limit, doesn't say it has any duration. If you get locked by this thing, you have to make your own way out.
You have to make your save.
You eventually, hopefully before everybody gets locked and the illithids actually come back and pick you up and start to distribute you to all the other torture devices, right?
I have a -3 in charisma. How am I
That's
gonna
not
get
my
out?
fault. I didn't do that. That's not, I don't know, bad luck. Anyway, like I said, it's only got so many things that it can do, right? So in its, say you get a surprise round off and you do a big chunk of damage, right? So then at the start of its round, it can only do one of these to one thing. And then you're all going to beat down on it, right? Before maybe, even if you get good initiative rolls, you might even just blitz it within a surprise round and a good initiative order. You could absolutely blitz this thing down within a round or two, right? So that's why you need to give it other things that are around it, looking to help it and defend it. You know, you need to give the party other stuff to worry about. Otherwise, it doesn't matter about the CR score. Okay. Are you right?
Yeah.
We good? Okay.
Yep.
So we have to give it legendary actions. So it says down on its, like if you scroll down, yeah, so you got to choose 3 of those. So I chose the tentacle one because they got like tentacles that sort of support them in the ooze and grow out of out of the ooze, right? It's got tentacles. Okay. This is very what's the word, Lovecraftian, right? That's where all this stuff comes from. So anyway, so it can use a tentacle attack. I got the one where it can break concentration. So if it's got a linked target, because it can make those links, if it's got one of the linked targets on its turn as a reaction, it can break your concentration. It doesn't even say no rolls. So if you're already linked and you failed your linking rolls, then and you'll say you're concentrating on someone's I'm not sure if haste is a concentration spell, but whatever, just for example, it can just end that concentration. And if it's a really important one, spirit guardians or spirit weapon or something like that, right? Yeah, so it can do these, it's got 3 of these, and it can do this every round. They refresh at the start of each round. That's the point of legendary actions.
All of them?
Yeah, but no, not all the ones that are listed there. The 3 that it takes, right? It gets 3 of these turns.
3 of them on a round.
Yes. But you can only use them as reactions. So you have to have a turn first, and then it's like, oh, I don't like you concentrating on that spell that just got used against me. You don't concentrate on it now. And then the next thing happens, and they do something else to it, and it's like, oh, I didn't like that you do that. Take a tentacle attack. And then something else attacks it, and it's like, here's the new reaction. I'm going to psychic pulse you. All right. So if you're previously linked to it, it can have like a AoE bomb around you, right? So just say you got your squishies, Mr. Mage, who's been sitting back and has been punished this entire month or 2, and is sitting there next to the druid caster and the like the cleric or whatever, right? And then all of a sudden, as a reaction, the Elder Brain decides on that turn as a reaction, I want you to just be a bomb now. Everybody roll to take 3d6 damage. Right? So this is what I mean. Like, these things have options, but if this is all they're doing is reacting to you, and how many attacks do they do? What's their actions? Could say at the actions. Is it just one? Tentacle or whatever. It doesn't have multi-attack, right? It doesn't say, yeah. So this thing needs to have other things around, or rather it's 1 action and 3 reactions, and it gets eaten after that. All right, so it needs friends.
5 people.
That's why it talks about having allies and stuff, and it's meant to be surrounded by all these Illithids. The idea is that you have already cleared out the Illithid colony, otherwise it will instantly call the Illithid colony towards you, and it may take several minutes for the entire colony to get there, but the entire colony will come. They will all know. There's not like, oh, it's got to set out a messenger to inform one of them, and that messenger never gets there, so no help ever comes. It's like, no, the instant you attack it, and it's conscious of that, and all your spells of protection drop against it, so it knows that you're there, and you're not guarding against it anymore, like, it will call for help. So hopefully you have killed all the help already.
Yeah.
Right?
Otherwise, GG.
Yeah. So what you need is this Elder Brain on its own with the 4 Intellect Devourers, right? Okay.
That it can
and it's got its legendary actions. It's got its lair actions. Okay, so we've talked about all of those. There's loot. Okay, on the next page, I was looking for loot. No, on the next, that one there, right? So the Thieves Guild actually is a resource that has, like this kind of table on there, right? So it has a whole list of things that we would probably pull off of there, right? So go down. You can get like
there's Elder Brain fluid.
Yeah, the gooey stuff out of there. You can do stuff with that. What else? Just read down there. We're not gonna.
Elder Brain tentacle.
Yeah, sure, of course, that makes sense. What does a tentacle do? Look at people. Where's your speed reading, right? I thought I taught you to speed read already.
Enchanted rope.
Oh, it works as an enchanted rope. All right, sure. Okay, that's kind of cool, I suppose.
White matter.
Okay, what's the white matter do? All right, he's reading, folks. It's ticking over. Need a sound that sort of all the gears roll over inside. You worked it out? Does it read funny? Is it a bit hard to work out what you use it for? Oh gosh, I have to walk over there. Let me have a look. Okay, so you got to do a check. Okay.
Psionic sponge.
Yeah, okay. Look, great deal of dexterity medical, failing the DC check. Okay. The tissue is a psionic sponge valued by spellcasters. So I take it that if you use that or manufacture it or make a potion out of it, then you can have psionic dampening abilities somehow, right? Imagine making a whole, give it to the druid, and they make an armor out of it. You have now got Elder Brain sponge armor that has psionic dampening powers, but you look like a spongy brain. Matter.
No, it's just white matter, so you just be in a white cloak.
Oh, that'd look great, really. Okay, sure. What's a neural core do for you?
Neural core,
Let me see, go down here. Valued by artificers, electrical machinations. Oh, maybe to run as AI in the things, right? And craftsman can stretch the
Will
string.
conduct electricity.
Oh,
if
great,
you don't
sure.
use it if you don't like craft it into something within 2 days, it just
It just goes off.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff goes off, it looks like, in 2 days. And what they got, pineal gland. What do you use for the pineal gland? A psionic focal point, and can be used to enhance psionic powers.
it's the size of a basketball.
There's not many classes that have psionic powers in this. I think there's a fighter class and a monk class that have what is essentially meant to be psychic equivalently, but they're not. And there is non-wizards supplements that you get psionic magic from. So you can have psionic classes, same as you can have blood magic classes and stuff like that, subclasses, blood magic wizards, but they're all in different...
Bloodbender.
Sort of, yeah, kind of like a bloodbender. Anyway, not right now. Okay. What was that last page? Was there anything else there? What we're looking at?
Not really.
Oh, I did want to say, I got a comment about the fire newt, and I looked into it. I was thinking about it while I was doing stuff today. You could probably do it. They are a CR1 monster.
This one?
You kind of, yeah, but you would have to have Pact of the Chain with the Ifriti, right? So fire genie, and you'd have a Pact of the Chain, and then you'd get it. But I was looking at them, they're quite, compared to the other ones, they're quite a little bit OP. If you get the CR1 monsters and you put it up against this thing, you'll find that, where is the fire newt? Oh my gosh, we're back on this thing here. Let me see. Okay. Okay, fire newts, right? You could take the fire newt warlock. The thing is that it gets multi-attack. So it either has 3 Morningstar or fire ray attacks, and they don't do much, but the problem is all the other familiars, even the battle ones like the imp and the pseudo dragon, the quasit and the sprite, they don't have more than 1 attack or action, right? So if you have this as a ranged spell attack and you just hit things constantly with it, that's a awesome little bit of damage there, you know. Oh, the other thing is too, these things have 33 hit points for a CR1 monster, right? And a lot of the CR monsters that are listed as being able for familiars, for the chain familiars, only have like 11 hit points, 10 hit points, 8 hit points. So, you know, it's a little bit juiced. Okay. All right, come back. We've done that. Okay.
Oh, come back.
Oh, so we have to make the shape. We have to draw a picture too. So, they come down the stairs. They get past the ramp that opens up. There's a big giant pit there with gas in it. And so they manage to get past that. And they come into a giant chamber with goo pool in one side with like water trickling into it from a spigot. And they've got where they're meant to have a connection to that well, and all the water has been diverted, and this is where the maybe at the back section here is where there's a kind of almost blocked over but not really passageway. All right, so this is the passage to the well. So if you want to come in and try and like get the sneak on it, and you know, right, it doesn't know you're coming, this is how you do it. You'd come through the passage from the well and bust your way through the wall, get into this area down here, and then assassinate it within 2 rounds. Like, that's how you'd want to do it if you didn't want to kill all the illithids first, right?
Yeah,
but I don't know if a party would know that, you know, right? This is the idea that that's an option, but whether the party would know that, right? So this is gas, all right, here. Okay, this is the lair. Now, the idea of the lair, though, was it would be quite big. It'd be, the roof is what, 60 foot, 70 foot up from the ground to the top. And you would probably have it to be quite big, you know, 100 and something feet, 200 feet.
If it's like, how far away is it from the top of the thing? Like 60 foot?
60 foot, and then like, because the pool sits above it, where the actual illithids sit in their pool with the church is above it. So you kind of, you spiral down the staircase to get into here, and the pool sits underneath it, you know, right?
So you're saying
it's like a locust point.
Made explosives.
Yes, all right.
They could just explode the bottom of the pool.
Sure.
And just be like, we're in here to fight you, Mr. Lvl7.
Sure, they could drop the bottom of the church on them and all that ground, whatever is in there between there and the cavern, and then drop that on top of the brain. That'd be an inventive way to get down there.
And then just chuck a bunch of grenades at it.
Sure, the artificer's making grenades now. Okay.
You can.
Okay, sure. All right. I haven't had much to do with artificers, but even still.
I've got to play an artificer.
Oh my God, you
So
want
I
to
can
play
make
everything.
So I can make a grenade launcher.
You want to play in everything. All right. So we have talked about all of that. What haven't we talked about? Oh, we haven't talked about the elder brain and how we're going to second phase it, right? So when we get down to 25%, it will heal that 50%, right? That's what you were saying earlier, right? You were recommending. See, I'd already done that. So it'll get to 75% again, right? Great. Not a full 100%, but it's going to get pumped up. Okay. It will, let me see. Oh, it's going to regen 4 devourers. So you kill off those 4 devourers pretty early because they're nothing really. They're quite lightweight. You just don't want them to, like I said, get on top of the wizard's head and start messing with him too much. Yeah. Okay. So they get their 4 devourers back, gets his healing of hit points back. All right. Then what you do is, and this is probably one of the meanest things, you give them the legendary resistances back. Essentially, this thing doesn't have 3 legendary resistances. It has 6. 3 in the first round and 3 in the next round. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. You're not banishing this thing away. You're not like, you know, commanding it or whatever, right? Or dominating it. Yeah, no, none of that, right? You'll choose to resist it. Okay. It will also, usually they can have some form of limited levitation, right? Levitation at will, but levitation is a concentration spell, and it also has limitations on how you move. Like you have to kind of be floated and lifted and pushed and stuff, right? Yeah. So what we do, instead of giving the levitation, we allow it to rise and glow and float and pulse and fly, right? So we give it just a 10-foot fly speed. It's not much, but it's enough that it can get up to 20 foot off the ground, and now the barbarian with its 10-foot reach weapon can't reach it. All right? So, and it's still going to get smashed with a tentacle. You know, Mr. Barbarian's still going to get a tentacle attack.
Well, I give him the fly potion.
Sure, that's what I mean. You can do all this sort of stuff. That's good thinking, right? Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're refreshing its legendary resistances. We're giving it the ability to properly levitate and fly and move around more reliably. We're taking its tentacle, right? So it has a tentacle attack, yeah? We're taking that tentacle attack and we're saying not messing with its damage or to hit or anything, but its 2 crit value is now on an 18, 19, 20 rather than just on a 20, right? Great Weapon Master. Is that Great Weapon Master? I can't remember. Anyway, it's one of the fighter perks or whatever, one of their things. Okay, and the Mind Blast and the Psychic Link, so its other 2 main abilities, right? So Psychic Link, it makes that first on unconscious people, right? Or incapacitated people, okay? And it can push things like Mind Blast through it. It can do its other stuff like its lair actions, right? It has to make that link, okay? So once it's got that link on you, if it's in second phase, instead of needing a DC 18, it says it over on the page, DC 18, now needs DC 20. So it's just a little pump. But even just that little pump on both of those abilities, plus now extra crits, plus having extra legendary resistances back, plus it can fly now. You see what I'm saying? Okay, is that enough? Is that enough for a second phase?
Yeah.
All right, because look, none of this messes with their damage. None of this actually plays with their hit point value, all right? It just plays with things around how it works already, okay? Just have your resistances back. Just have, you know, have a better levitation, have a better critical table chance on your tentacle. Make it easier or make it harder for them to resist your effects and go again.
Yeah, but like, what if you're running a gun barbarian?
Well, it's got 120 feet on these things. Like I said, it can do these things within 120 feet. It can try and do the its ability to do the psychic link on you at 120 feet, and then it can use that where is it? Its psychic pulse on its legendary actions every turn. So somebody makes a turn, legendary actions, sends a pulse down you, take your 3d6, right? Or every turn linked within 100. I think it's within 60 feet. I think I'd have to look at the tentacle range. Use your tentacle attack. Actually, I think tentacle is actually only 10 feet. I think it's only meant to be used like against the people who come up and bash it one-on-one. The people who want to get in the pool and, you know, squelch on the brains there and start bashing it hand to hand, right? They get a tentacle to the face. Thank you very much. Okay, so these guys also, reading through the lore, and I've tried to say before, other than the items that we've got, okay, they don't keep magical items. We've only got magical books and scrolls and stuff over with the doc at the lab. And we have those items in the storeroom that are about to be transferred or just gotten rid of, all right?
And the items on top of it.
And then the items that are special, these ones here that are on top of these things, because these are legendary items essentially. What the globe especially is being held as a kind of punishment control. The other ones are obviously weapons that can't be destroyed. You know, they're too powerful, they're legendary. You have to put them in Tarask belly to break them down, that kind of rubbish. All right. But yeah.
Tarask's really that powerful?
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. Unless you cheese it, they reckon, and say, oh, you just need a level 1 flying warlock with these, you know, so it can shoot it at range, and because the Tarask can't fly, ha ha ha. And
give it wings.
No, you don't, but they can rip chunks of earth off the ground and use an improvised weapon the same as you can, and now they have a boulder throw with their actual proficiency still, right? So they're plus whatever it is to hit, and it now does 20 d6 damage. So level 1 dude, like, you can do that now, but like, I'm not gonna like just sit there with a little, you know, a longbow even, and shoot it while you're flying around because you're an Aarakocra. Like, that's just not gonna work, you know, right? Because I'm gonna pick up a rock off the ground and throw it at you, and then you will die and roll on your character. And yeah, and other people at the table laugh at you, right? So
yeah,
it was worth a try. It was worth a shot. Bring me another one. I'll break it too.
wear your invisibility cloak next time.
Sure, I'll break that too. Maybe. So I think we are done, right?
For today?
Yeah, sure. I think we've looked at all my notes, talked about everything. We put the
BBEBrain.
Yeah, we put him in some goo down a hole with a trap, and gave him an extra phase. We talked about your fire newt. I think that's it. These guys haven't had much to do, unfortunately. Poor Frodo and Gus. You guys are going to have to sort of just chill out and sort of forgive us today. All right, Mr. Papa, I don't know. I was going to say Mr. Samwise, but I could never be as great as the you know, the true Samwise, Lord of the Potato. Okay. Anyway, I got distracted again. Say goodbye. What are we doing?
Goodbye.
Do the things. Comment sections and below.
No hassles.
No hassles. Stay weird. I'll go try and find a disconnect button. There we go.